Okay, welcome everybody to this special training. I've been wanting to do this one for a while, and I wanted to have Dr. Brett with me to talk about these lifestyle approaches, especially nutrition and supplements, and the spine and posture, and other questions that you have about it. And this is natural headache solutions, right? That's what we're calling this. And I have a pretty special, relationship with headaches and especially migraines. And I was thinking about this actually today and how I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, or maybe even married to my wife that I'm married to, or have the kids that I have, if I didn't have migraines when I was a kid. Now, just think about that in your life and how maybe symptoms that you have, which more than likely are headaches, if you're actually watching this, right, whether live or on the recording, is so when I was, my story is when I was a kid growing up, I would have headaches. I would have colds and sinus problems, which would lead to headaches, and bronchitis, and just a weakened immune system, essentially. But where I first remember how my health and how I was feeling affected me was when I was in the 8th grade. Because that's when I had my first migraine headache, which is different than the stress or tension headaches or the sinus headaches that I was having previous to that. So I didn't know what this was, but it didn't start off as a debilitating headache. It's where it ended. So I was 8th grade, 13 years old, and sitting in my social studies class in junior high. First day of our 8th grade basketball season, I was going to be the starting point guard, and all of a sudden I was first hour of the day sitting in class trying to read what was on the page, and I couldn't see the words. It was like if you look at the sun or a light and you get that spot, that's what was happening. But the spot wasn't going away no matter how much time or blinking that I did. Well, then about 10, 15 minutes later, I started getting numbness, tingling in my hand, down my arm, and even down into my foot. So again, I didn't know what the heck that was. I just kept going. So then 10 minutes after that, the scariest symptom happened, even before the headache, was the teacher asked me a question and I couldn't answer her. I couldn't speak. I could think and I could feel the words in my head, but they wouldn't come out. And so after all that, basically a half hour after that first, sunspot happened, is when I got the headache. And, it put me down, but I stayed. Here's the funny part. And what's important to you in what you'll find a way to do is, I knew I needed to stay at least a half a day in school in order to play that night in our basketball game. So I made sure I'd stayed through the 3rd hour. And then, I had my mom called and she came and picked me up, and I went home and slept. And more than likely I took Tylenol. Right, I took ibuprofen or something that we had in the I don't like calling it medicine cabinet, but because we'll talk about other medicines that we can have in the cabinet besides those. And I got to play that night, or I played that night through that pain. The headache didn't completely go away for a couple of days. It dissipated along the first few days, or the first day or so, and then went away. But as so often when we don't correct the cause or even find out what the cause of it was, the next week it happened again. I was at my locker, all of a sudden I got those spots in those symptoms before the headache comes. That's called in migraine terms an aura. Basically, I was having a classic migraine with aura. And so I had that again. So I knew what was going to happen. As soon as I got those spots, I went down to the school office and told our school secretary, I said, you know what, I'm about to get a massive headache. Even then, I still didn't know it was a migraine. I thought it was a horrible headache. So I asked her if she had any Tylenol. And she's like, what she said actually changed the course of my life, because she said, I can't give you that. And I told her what was happening. And she said, you know what? Sounds like you got a pinched nerve. I think you should go see my chiropractor. So remember, I was 13 years old, 8th grade. I'm like, whatever. And in the meantime, I was again in this aura state where everything was just fuzzy and couldn't think and speak very well. So I again, not like I could go there myself. So when she called my mom to pick me up from school, she told my mom, hey, sounds like he's got a pinched nerve going on or something. Why don't you take him to see my chiropractor? So my mom picked me up. When she got there, our school secretary, she actually called the chiropractor, said we were on our way. And that's how it started. Not that like right then I decided, so long story short, went to the chiropractor, got x-rays taken, showed me what was causing it, spent time with my mom and myself explaining how these headaches happen, and went through a series of treatments. Headaches got better, migraines got better, colds and infections got better. I didn't mention when I was a kid, I'd also had bladder infections, which is not very common as a boy.
Yeah.
So I say all that because it wasn't right then. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a chiropractor. No, again, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, I continued to see a chiropractor regularly. And it wasn't until probably my senior year, actually my first year of college, that I decided to go into chiropractic because I had a history of it and I wanted to stay involved in the health field. But I didn't want, it's almost like innately, I knew I didn't want drugs. I didn't want those types of things. I wanted to help people just build their body up. And where the nutrition is going to come into this is about 10 years ago or so. Even in college, I would still have some headaches and migraines, but not many. It was never debilitating, maybe once a year. And that was like if the stress built up too much in my body to where my body couldn't handle it. There was something interfering with it. And then as I graduated, started having kids, started, my businesses, started, life, right? I say that a lot in my messages to you guys is life happens. And unless we're dissipating and mitigating the effects of these life problems or life things, they can add up on our body. And then for me, it would show up as headaches and migraines. It would show up as even low energy with like so many people, but it just depends on what your weak link is. For me, it would show up as headaches, and that would be one of my first signs. So with nutrition and supplements, I added that pretty almost late, not late in the game, but it was my fitness and then my function with spinal health. Those were the first things that I addressed. And then again, about, like I said, 10 years ago was when I really dialed in my nutrition, because these headaches started coming back more and more and more. And now, again, with this, I call it my 6-pack of health, the 6-pronged approach, which includes nutrition and supplements, and obviously spinal health, it again allows the body to heal itself. And that's what we're going to talk about a lot, is how this relates to headaches. And that's, again, I want to just share that with you so then you understand that these can be corrected. When, I've been doing this, for 20 some years. And when I see somebody with headaches coming into a practice, and Dr. Brett, maybe you can, probably have these same stories, like, oh my gosh, if you just stick with it, I don't want to say it's easy to correct, but just, we can find the cause of it. And when you find the cause of it, and a lot of times it's some type of nutritional thing, some type of, dysfunction in the spine, then just those two things right there, 90% can get better. But anyway, this is not about me. This is about you. And this is about us, and especially Dr. Brett here, who I have with me, to help guide you along the way in these steps to take. We want to actually give you practical, actionable steps and strategies, solutions to help your body heal itself, especially as it relates to headaches. So with that being said, Dr. Brett, thanks for being here. Everybody, thanks for being here. But Dr. Brett, again, I want you to take it away. Give me your insights.
I love what you said. And I think most people can relate to that first phrase you had. Had I not had this life experience, I wouldn't be where I am. And that's one of the things I'll ask people. So I'm like you. I think that there's this whole idea of a doctor of chiropractic. I grew up hearing the phrase, a DC means doctor of cause, like looking for the cause of the problem. And I think sometimes the cause of the problem is designed to shift us in another direction. Like for you, it was that nurse at the school saying, hey, you need to see my chiropractor. that changed the course of your life, obviously for you personally as a 13-year-old young man, but then into now impacting people elsewhere because of the experience that you had. And that was actually very similar to my mom. My dad was injured, got carried into the chiropractor's office, got him back walking again. My mom had migraines since she was in auto accidents when she was a teenager. One adjustment, and those migraines left her. And so those were direct for them experiences that led them into the profession that would eventually lead them into where I am today. So I think one thing that I tell people when you're looking at what's going on with your body, always ask, is there a lesson I need to learn from this? Like, what is the lesson in this for me that may be bigger than the pain, right? And so that's part of a 6-step for me. It's like as that the 6-pack as you call it is understanding, like asking that question: is there a lesson to learn from this so I no longer need the lesson? And so that's just the way you said that. I think it's a lot of these experiences we have kind of move us in direction. So, but I want to kind of piggyback on what you said, the cause of the problem, looking at the cause. And we only know what we know based on what we know, and we only know something different when we're willing to open up to something else. And I think most people, I hear them come in a lot and they say, I've tried everything else. And a lot of times it's just they've only tried what they've been exposed to. Right. And a lot of us, if you look at what we're exposed to and what is common in mainstream, is kind of like common sense. It's just not that common, right? There's unfortunately like common sense just is not that common. And so a lot of common things, we're not taught how to view them in a way that we make you understand, hey, what might this be telling us, and what is my body trying to share with me? And I think that's probably the key. I think most of us know more how our cell phones are programmed or our computer are programmed versus how our body actually interprets information and gives you information. So I'm grateful for this conversation because I grew up in a household where, we always were asked questions. Well, did you earn a cold or did you catch a cold? And at first I'm like, that is so dumb. Right. And then I started thinking about, well, did I earn it or did I catch it? Well, I didn't really catch it. And I started thinking, well, what were the things that I did to put myself in a compromised position to where I earned the cold? And I just how my dad thought, but it was because of when he started asking the question, what was the cause of the problem? What led to where you are today? And I think that can be especially applied in healthcare, but also in just overall relationships and in life. So one thing I wanted to kind of pop up real quick, I'm going to share my screen just really fast. I think this is kind of just an interesting way to think about it. So most of us have probably in our lifetime consulted with Google. And so I want to consult with Google here just a second on something, because Google is kind of the first place we go to, many of us, when we're looking for answers. And you got to think, well, who put the answers there? I have patients all the time. They'll consult Google. And my patients know, like, they'll come in and say, like, did it again. Like, I looked at Google. And I said, hey, that's fine. Right. But I always find it interesting when you look at, like, headaches, for instance, when people hurt, they want answered. And a lot of times it's kind of like the middle of the night or something like that. And if you read through, like, even these different headaches, they'll talk about, like, things like this, some primary headache can be triggered by. And I would tell people, think about health kind of a lot like a bank account. Okay. Bills aren't stressful until you can't pay them. Okay. And when people say there's there is a direct cause and effect, but most of the time it's multiple bills that lead to stress, not one bill. So in health, it's very much similar. It can be physical reasons, it can be biochemical or reasons, it can be emotional reasons, it can be allergies, it can be toxicity, it can be all these different things. And there's only two choices you have. You have to somehow reduce the bills or the things that are draining you. Versus just with food. Food either gives you energy or it costs you energy. There's no two choices. You eat certain things that your body has to eliminate a lot of it to get the benefit. You're gonna losing money based on the foods you're eating, and the vice versa can be true with the foods that you eat. And so that same thing goes here. You just look at things like this, like alcohol or certain foods that are processed, or lack of sleep or poor posture, physical trauma, accidents, injuries, right? Even birth trauma, stress. All of those, they can cause or contribute to headaches. So if these are the different causes, and here's some other ones: sinusitis, which can be an infection, arterial tears, blood clots, aneurysm, brain tumors, these big ones, carbon monoxide poisoning, all these different, concussion injuries. So if these are all the different causes, what are the most common treatments for? So I would say probably, so when you went into the nurse, you go, hey, can I have a Tylenol? And because of her experience of having chiropractic, she said, hey, I don't want to give you Tylenol. I want to look for the cause of the problem. Maybe you have a pinched nerve. Maybe you have some physical injuries that have led to your nervous system not functioning well. If we could reduce those things, you would quit having migraines. So let's say that didn't happen. The nurse you saw didn't know that. You would probably ended up on ibuprofen or Advil or Tylenol or something like that, and you might have had some relief from the pain, but it would have solved the problem, right? And that's kind of where we want to kind of shift people's perception. Is it's not that medications are bad, it's just, are they being applied to where it's a short-term fix or a long-term solution? And are we removing the cause of the problem as much as we possibly can, or enhancing your body's natural innate abilities to handle the stress better? Because last I checked, typically as we get older, we don't have less stress. We tend to have more demands. But over time, our bodies tend to be less efficient at handling those demands unless we understand the rules that allow us to build up our systems. And I'm going to just share one of the screen because I just find it fascinating here, because I've met some of my good chiropractic friends that they have got into chiropractic because of their family member was had some migraines or headaches or some type of pain, and they ended up taking over-the-counter medications for a lot of years, and then found out later that those medications led to their ultimate demise. And so, for instance, the most common thing people are given for headaches or any type of pain, but specifically headaches, are over-the-counter pain medications. Here's just some of the side effects you can have from those. And this isn't like me saying it. This is just super common knowledge, but most people don't ask. So when anybody somebody's on a medication, I said, look, always ask your pharmacist and always ask your physician and always read the label, or what are the other symptoms you might have associated with the medication you're taking. We call them side effects because that means there's something we don't want to experience. Like, we don't want to experience them, and so we call them side effects, but they're truly an effect. All right. So here's just some of the simple ones: constipation, nausea, addictions, overdose, death, slow breathing, sore throat, low back pain, pain after injury. These are all things that can be actually brought on through these over-the-counter medications. Some of the most common are kidney and liver failure. So I don't know about you. I don't love bills. I don't love them. I don't really love taxes. I pay them, but I don't want to have to pay more than I need to pay because it depletes me. So if we're using medications to give you relief from a problem that we could solve, let's fix on solving that problem. But one thing I want to kind of bring up back to this. So if those medications work to reduce the pain, how are they working? Are there ways that we can influence that is in a natural way that doesn't have the side effects that you don't want? So I'm going to take up, for instance, here. So a lot of the medications like ibuprofen, Advil, Tylenol, they work by blocking inflammatory chemicals. I mean, block, but not remove. Okay, so they block, they don't remove. It's a lot like you have the tire gauge on your car lights up, and you just put a piece of tape over it. You can't see it, so you don't know that the tire is getting low, and so now you're wearing the tread out faster than you should, and so that tire that would normally go 30,000 miles goes 20. So think of that the same thing as in your body, is even though you aren't feeling the pain today because you're taking ibuprofen or Tylenol or something like that, your systems are not going to have as much efficiency, nor would they last as long in that scenario. So there's two ways you can look at this. If there are certain inflammatory chemicals that are in your body, number one, why are they there? And is there ways that I can reduce them by not doing certain things? And are they reducing them by doing certain things? So for instance, if you have inflammation, and it's bigger than just headaches. Headaches stop us, right? They stop us from doing the things that we enjoy. And so we don't like that. So we want to get rid of them as fast as we possibly can so I can go play point guard. Right, like you said, I knew I had to stay in class 3 hours, and then I could play basketball that day. I laughed, my son says the same thing, and so they just knew I want to play that thing. Whether that's, hey, I'm a mom, I don't have time for a headache, like I just don't have time for this, or I'm a dad, I got to get this project done, or you know what, I don't have time for this. I just don't. Okay. So here's some things that you can do immediately. So your body repairs when it's resting. Your body reduces inflammatory processes when you're resting. So one of the simplest things you can do is become a better rester, become a better sleeper. And what I mean by that is being consistent. And I tell people, treat yourself like you was an infant. An infant, you put them in bed at the same time, you wake them up at the same time, you feed them at the same time. That's just what you do. You have them on a schedule because when they're on a schedule, they're just better little people. And when they're better little people, your life isn't so crazy, right? So as simple as that is, like going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, feeding yourself at the same time consistently will reduce the inflammation in your body, which in your case could lead to less headaches, right? So I'd number one, start with that. Then two, water. As simple as this is, water is water. Nothing else is water. So if you're going to wash, if your body, when your body exercises or do any activity, you create dirt or exhaust. So somehow your body has to eliminate that. All right. So when you wear clothes, they get dirty. I don't care how clean you are, you get dirty. The dirtier your job, the more stress you have, the dirtier your body gets. The more sticky stuff that's in your body, the more your body has to get rid of it. So if you don't have water, it's going to wash your inside with whatever you put in it. So if you're drinking sweet tea or if you're drinking soda or you're drinking alcohol, right, all that stuff's sticky. So your body has to pull water in to try to clean that up, which makes you hold weight, which I don't know many people that like that. All right. And so it makes you stickier. And if you're stickier, you get more friction. More friction gets more heat. More heat means more pain, more inflammation. So a couple of simple things like just the sleep and just the act of drinking water will have a huge impact. And water goes to the next phase, which has been eating. There are definitely foods that you will eat that will make you have more inflammatory chemicals in your body. They just will. So if you want more pain, if you want more disease or more disease, you want to eat more sugar. You want to eat, you want to drink more alcohol. You want to eat more fried foods. So if you want more inflammation, if you want your body parts to wear out faster, if you want more visits to the doctor, you eat those things. When I have people come with sinus infections all the time and they have headaches, one of the first things I start asking them is just about what they're eating. So I love working with teenagers. They're kind of fun and kids. And I said, if you want more boogers, eat more sugar. So, and boogers make your sinus cavities thicker and more inflamed and more tender and more headaches. So if you want more booger, and again, if this is something, this is just how I talk, just because I want people to remember. I want to remember, like, oh yeah, I don't want to be that congestion. Well, I don't want more boogers. So if I eat less sugar, less boogers, drink more water, that's like washing the boogers out. That's awesome. Less headaches. Okay. So, and one thing I can never control as a clinician, like I can come in, I can adjust them and help them feel better, but like I can't control them what they go feed themselves. I really can't. But I tell people all the time, like, I hope you really stay eating bad because you're like job security to me. That's probably a horrible thing to say, but like, there's the way our national general people eat, it's just great job security for physicians. But we can change that by making some very simple changes in habits. Okay, but I also know once somebody comes into us, like they're already hurting, like they're already in a state of hurting. So we need to give them tools and solutions right now to start feeling better while we correct the underlying cause down the road. Just like with you, you learned, hey, if I got adjusted, I felt better. And then as you got older or more mature and you started having more stressors on yourself with taking care of family and practice and businesses, you had more demands. And so you had to find out how do I become more efficient at helping my body doing its job. And so simple answers, remove the things that you can, and let's add in the very best of what we can to enhance our function. Now, with women, I've learned this a lot. Like women will spend almost anything if they think it'll make them look younger. I don't understand it. Like it doesn't make sense to me. But that's just how it is because it's what they want. So what we want to do is look at the products that will give you what you want at the right cost, right? So I think the most expensive products are the ones that don't get you what you want, number one. And then to know that there's a different form of technology on certain products to give you better results. Okay, but the magic isn't in the product, the magic is in you as a person. We just want to give your body the best it can have to get the results you're looking for. So there's a couple of things that I really use a lot when it comes on the product side. Number one, go back to what I said before, sleep and water and food, right? And then hopefully you're seeing a chiropractor. Like if you're not seeing, whether a naturopath or a chiropractor, someone that works in that physical medicine side, to me, it'd be like not having a dentist. Like I want to have a dentist take a look at my teeth every 6 months whether I need to or not, just so that we catch a problem before it becomes a major problem that ends up costing me a lot more and I have a lot more pain. Like I want that same thing true in my spinal or my physical health. Okay, same reason why I exercise routinely. is I want to make sure I'm being proactive that way and versus reactive. But there's a couple key things that I want people to kind of, yeah, you're going to say something? Right. So there's three main factors that I think people need to get with this when it comes to headaches. Number one is reducing inflammation. So your body, if we reduce inflammation, you're going to have less headaches across the board. And so that goes back to what to eat and what not to eat, but also is your body has mechanisms in play. It's kind of like an automatic vacuum cleaner. Like it's just constantly on the lookout for cleaning stuff up. And there's these pathways in the cells that's their job. Their job is to go around looking for debris, cleaning it up and repairing. So they're not only the cleaner uppers, they're repairers. They have to do both. They're these big enzymes. You may have heard glutathione being one of them. So foundationally speaking, I use a combination of herbs called Protandim Nerve 2 because I take that every day so that my vacuums are working all day, every day, night and day, right? To clean up and repair. Like I want that happening as a combination of different herbs like bacopa, milk thistle, ashwagandha, turmeric, and green tea. But it's really that combination that activates what's called an assembly line switch to the body to make these vacuum cleaners that go throughout my cells. I want that in my body all the time so that it's just cleaning up. And the great thing is, let's say that the house isn't that dirty and your body systems are working great, it'll never get that dirty. Right. But once you have the 2-year-old and 3-year-old come home, let's say you go out and do some stuff that you don't normally do, eat or drink stuff you don't normally do, well, those vacuum cleaners really got to get going. So that's foundation number one. Number two is I want to make sure my body can make energy. So for your body to do work, it has to make what's called ATP. We think of that in life as money. Like if you don't have money, you can't really pay for the bills nor go on vacation. So in the human body, that's called ATP. And there's a system that works called mitochondria that make that. So I'm going to support those mitochondria. I'm going to use that by, I make it a combination of 5 herbs and plant extracts that actually turn on the gene switch for the body to actually make those mitochondria work and help the body make new mitochondria. It's called NRF1. Those are the two foundational things that I'll almost always do. And the third one would be I'd make sure that I'm doing things like intermittent fasting or turning on what's called the sirtuin molecules. You can do that through a combination of certain herbs called NAD. So that's kind of that's a general rule. But here's something that you guys can start doing right now from a dietary perspective. If you're not taking essential fatty acids, that is the key regulator for your hormones and inflammation. So fish oils or really healthy plant-based oils will help to regulate that inflammatory cascade. So I think if you want to look up, inflammation and omega-3s, you can see so much cool research out there. So I take actually every single day some oils, some good oils. I want to try to get as much as I can in my diet. So I eat salmon usually a couple times a week, other cold water fish, but it's tough. Like in Arizona to get good cold water fish. So like I go fish in Alaska. That's where I get mine. So I can do that. But it's not the easiest thing for most people to do. But that's something that I try to do. So, but you can get good source omega-3s, like Advantage makes a good one, that Optimal Health makes a good one, that the plant-based, got some people that only eat plant-based, so I'll use that. And then the other thing that I'll use, because what I've learned is that most of the time when we have a headache, we want it fixed now, right? When we're in pain, like it usually takes 2 or 3 days. When having the pain, we got to do something about it now, right? So I actually keep a couple things in what I call my medicine cabinet. So my medicine cabinet looks very different than most people's medicine cabinets. Like it's a bunch of vitamins and minerals, and herbs. And by the way, guys, just so you know, acetaminophen, that came from willow bark. Like so, willow bark is actually where these anti-inflammatories start from, because the Indians would actually take willow bark and use it for fevers and headaches. And so that they then manufactured it to where they changed the molecule a little bit to where they could patent it. Now, but that's also where the side effects came from. So if I can find a natural source of it that gives me the benefit without the side effects I don't want, then I'm going to do that. So that's for that. But I actually keep at my house. I have this a box. It's called my NSAID pack. So NSAID is called non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. That's the actual classification name of like ibuprofen, acetaminophen, Tylenol, Advil, etc. And those are all considered NSAIDs. Now, you may have heard that some people can't take those because it gives them stomach ulcers. So that's when they came out with these COX-1 and COX-2 inhibitors, like Celebrex was a big one back in the day. Those were ones that were supposed to not give the same stomach problems that they do. So those are, again, other medications that are prescription-based medications that are used for pain and or headaches. So I use what's called an NSAID pack. So it's a combination of plants, herbs, vitamins, minerals, and essential fatty acids in little packets. So for instance, I have a lot of athletes that I treat. And those guys have been trained to take ibuprofen before and after workouts. It's just a common thing they use, especially long distance runners. So I have mine trained to use these packs of vitamins, minerals, and herbs that work on the pathways to help the body regulate that inflammatory cascade by speeding up the body's healing ability versus just blocking and putting a tape over it. Okay. And so by doing that, we're going to speed up the healing, not slow it down. And that's one I use from that company, Oppo Health Systems, all the time, because it's very easy. So if somebody come in and they're on ibuprofen, have been for sometimes, unfortunately, years, I know that they don't want to be in pain. So I've got to find ways to start retraining their body to learn how to break it down on its own. And this is just kind of a side note, but if you're someone out there, you or someone you love, that's maybe been on a lot of these anti-inflammatories for years, a lot of people have gut issues. They have extra allergies because they're taking those things. You'll have to do some gut healing things to influence that. And that's kind of a different topic, but just if that's you, hey, I've been a long time and I know I have gut issues, like I'm having to take over the counter, stuff for acid reflux, and I'm bloated all the time, and like my stomach hurts when I eat foods. Just know that maybe you want to do some gut healing things along this journey so you can repair the damage that's being done, but you can transition over into something like this NSAID pack. So if somebody's in a lot of, have been on like ibuprofen for years, I'll normally dose them 1 to 3 times a day for about 2 to 3 weeks, because it's going to get their body to repair more, and then I'll dose back. But I have a lot of people use these as like, hey, I have pain right now. Like I need to do something right now. So I'll take one every 4 or 5 hours until the pain subsides. And so they can find ways to not have the pain, but also we're not worried about damaging kidney and liver. So there's that's a big idea between all these things. And foundation, I always say, let's try to change the diet and the lifestyle, understand what the lesson's being taught, but then let's develop some different tools. Like you have what tools you have based on what you currently know. Let's show you a different tool. And when you're seeing a doctor, whether it's me or somebody else, ask them like, what's causing my problem? And is what you're recommending I do actually a fix or just a Band-Aid? Is this actually going to repair the tissue that's being damaged, or am I just still going to be doing the damage? I just can't feel it anymore. And hopefully you'll be one like, I want to know what's causing it. I want to know what I can do to change my lifestyles so that I can not only feel better, but I can have a lot better longevity.
So what's all in the NSAID pack again?
Yeah, great. So in the NSAID pack, and I could probably pull it up and show you guys if you want. Let me pull it up.
I'm just because I want them to see, like, they could get all these individually. I want them to realize, like,
it's painful. Let me just
right. That's what I mean, is just to help everybody understand. Like, you can.
I used to do that. I used to have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go, again, I'm saying this facetiously a little bit because I know, Dr. Brett, your take on getting supplements from Amazon. But you can go on Amazon and look at these, like look up an essential fatty acid, look up a probiotic, look up glutathione, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you're probably not getting what's actually there. And still, you might think it's cheap or inexpensive, but like Dr. Brett says, what's expensive is the stuff that it doesn't work. So you could pay $5 for something that it doesn't work, or $20 for something that it does work. So what would you say is expensive then, right?
The one that doesn't work is the one that causes more problems than good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you guys can see this here, this is what's in the NSAID pack. And so this protease anti-inflammatory, these are the herbs that are anti-inflammatory, like turmeric, like curcumin, like black pepper. These are the ones that are very commonly used for anti-inflammatory. So a lot of people say, well, I've got inflammation, I'll go get some turmeric. So the reason why I like the pack is we used to do this. We'd say, hey, you get the bottle of this, and you put them all together. Now we actually do it in a very different way, where it's this little packet. So I do take a packet. So if you see this, like these proteases, this is joint nutrition. So it's got glucosamine and chondroitin that are designed to help the joint actually heal. So not only does this work with the inflammatory cycle, like not feeling the pain, but what it does, it works with giving your body what it needs to repair the problem. Very, very different concept than just not feeling the pain. And so each of these, like the fatty EFAs or fatty acids, these are affect the joints. These are just control the inflammatory cascade. The phytonutrients are the nutrients that your body needs to repair the tissues. And you'll look through these, you'll see vitamin E, zinc, copper, manganese, curcumin, the fatty acids, glucosamine sulfate. AGCC, glucosamine hydrochloric acid, turmeric, sulforaphane, ginger root, chondroitin sulfate. And you'll see some of this has like stuff that heals the gut too, which you're like, why is that? Because if you don't modulate the gut, you're gonna have more inflammation. What I love about this being so simple is that all I have to do is have people take the packet. And if you want to know all the details of it, there's videos actually on this one specific where it kind of goes through and explains each one in detail, like I'm going to do in a conference in a few weeks in Utah. We're going to go through every one of those like in detail. You know, most of us don't want to know that, but if you're a physician, you're a physician, want to know that, like it's fun to know each one they'll do it. So if you've made bread, you know it's important to have the right ingredients, but it's even more important to have the ingredients in the right ratios. If you don't have the ingredients in the right ratios and put it at the right time and then have an activator in it like yeast, we're not getting bread. Okay. So when you look at these formulations, we're talking about, you know, really decades and decades of experience of different clinicians and formulators that have worked together. Think, hey, what works together when you're working with trying to help the body heal and repair? So that's by foundation. I want to activate it. So you think about making bread. If you don't have yeast, right, nothing happens. So you want to activate the body's ability to heal with that nerve 1, nerve 2, while I give the body the supplies it needs to repair the tissue.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I just wanted to point that out with that. And I love how you bring up it's the lifestyle, it's the foundation nutrition type things that is going to again build the foundation up, which again I talk about a lot. And you mentioned the three that sleep, the water, nutrition, but I want to hit on sleep a little bit because for those of you on live or watching the replay, ask yourself, how is your sleep? Are you sleeping like a baby? Or like an infant. I love that even better than thinking, we've heard that expression, I slept like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I like sleeping like an infant. They're on a schedule. They go to bed at the same time. They get up at the same time. And yet, how do we do with that? How do you do with that? And that your body's not repairing, your brain is not clearing out all the junk and debris in there, which again, that can lead to headaches. The water, and I want to add something to that because I know when I work out or if I'm playing basketball and I sweat a lot, I'm losing a lot of the other stuff in there, like the sodium and salt, essentially. So since I've started adding just salt and restructuring it that way, just that simple little way, a pinch of Celtic sea salt in my water, I don't get headache when I get dehydrated or headaches when I get dehydrated. So that's, again, just a simple thing with that. Nutrition wise, whole foods. Again, I don't know if you're sick of hearing this over and over again. I hope you are, because then it might sink in. But the more processed food you eat, the more, again, it hurts the gut, which leads to, the leaky gut. And then if your gut's not working, you're not absorbing the nutrients that you're actually taking. So again, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. If you don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I was talking to somebody before. I'm probably on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 meaning, I don't eat any processed food whatsoever. I'm probably at an 8 out of 10 of eating mostly whole foods. But those are so essential. What spine? And let me show you this here, which I got the towel, because I wanted to talk about that just really quick, about how the spine and posture play a key role. So in that common forward flexed posture that most people are in nowadays, where we're chronically on our phone or sitting on the couch or even propped up on pillows or driving, our head is getting forced forward, but it's also our rib cage that's collapsing, our thoracic, our mid-back that is collapsing. So one, that is putting pressure, if you will. It makes it harder for the heart to function, your lungs to function, your gut to function. So when that's not happening, well, now if your lungs aren't getting the oxygen to your body, and on top of that, because you're not able to take deep breath into those lobes down at the bottom, and on top of that, that's forcing your head forward, which has been shown to decrease the curve of your spine, which alters the circulation going up to your brain. It's no wonder that spine is a huge factor in headaches and migraines. That was a big reason why I was having migraines and headaches. So a simple tool that you can have is rolling up a towel. It depends on how tall you are or how long your neck is. I have a long neck. So again, I have specialized blocks that I use, again, that we use in our clinic. And, I recommend if I've seen people's x-rays to know what they would need in their history. But if short of that, you have towels, you have blankets, you can roll them up and place them underneath the bottom of your neck. Okay. And lay down. Again, this is for lying down on the floor. Ideally, you can do it in bed, but you like a hard surface. Putting that underneath your neck and just allowing the pressure to come off of the nerves. It's one of those, like Dr. Brett talked about, those emergency situations, but it also can be used to remodel the spine if you lay on it long enough. But how often, when you get a headache, you're like, oh my God, my neck is so tight, tension here or even up here. And just, it's almost innately, okay, I got to lay down flat with my neck supported. I'm not sure if anybody has felt like that, but that is, how smart your body is. It wants to get in the least stressful position in order for it to heal itself. So a simple rolled up towel. And I'm going to write myself a note so I could put just like a picture and instructions on how to do that in the replay as well.
Yeah, I love these little things because, most people, I grew up this way, thinking, hey, everybody knows this, but it's just, unfortunately, this isn't something that was taught common knowledge in school. I just love the fact that nurse you saw when you're in, eighth grade mentioned this to you. So wouldn't it be cool if this was taught, right, to our children as ways to maybe consider, instead of, hey, just cover it up, like, here's what you can do to improve that. Just put that accountability back on them.
Yeah. Well, I want to open it up. I want to see, does anybody have any questions, or what questions do you have? If you want to put them in the chat, great, but unmute yourself. If you want to turn on your camera, you can do that too. But this is for you. Ask your questions while I'm here, while Dr. Brett is here. It's so much easier to answer when we can hear it straight from you. You're here because I know you have some question.
Hope they didn't fall asleep.
If that's the case, make sure you're keeping a consistent sleep schedule.
Yeah, maybe they're just they heard the news that I'm supposed to sleep more and they went and took a nap.
All right. It usually takes a minute or two. Somebody's like, let's see. I'm not going to pick on anybody, that's for sure.
Why not? That's more fun.
So I mentioned, my 6-pack of health. And I'll just go further into that because this goes into decreasing inflammation, but like it's the 6 F's. So F bombs, I call them. So we have fitness that Dr. Brett and I talked about, fitness, exercise. We have food, so that's food, nutrition, supplements, the chemicals that we're putting into our body. Water is included into that. I know water isn't, it is a chemical, but it's not. But if it is like tap water, then probably it is got chemicals in there. Drugs is a chemical. So we want to increase our intake of stuff that build up the body, like nutritional things, and then decrease the stuff that cause inflammation. So we got fitness, food, function. So I call function. So that's your spine and nervous system, because your brain controls all the function in your body, and it's got to get its communication from the brain to the rest of the body. And you need a healthy posture, spinal structure in order for that to happen. What's the 4th F? So I couldn't find for sleep. So I call it refresh. So you have to refresh yourself. REFRESH, refreshing sleep, and but no, that actually goes into the last 2 is, the other one is focus. So that's your mindset, taking time and clearing out the head trash and identifying the head trash that we have and working on that, counting your wins. That's a huge one. It's not just positive thinking, but if you have a goal, if you have you want to get rid of headaches, so that's your goal, is I want to be headache free, pain free. as a goal. List everything that you did in order to do that today in the last 12 to 24 hours. So you being here, and then if you're watching the recording, you listening to this, this is a win for you moving forward with that goal. And then the last part of it is faith, spirituality, a purpose that you have in life. So those, I call that my F-bombs, my
Those are good.
pack of health. But what do we got here? All right, Laurel.
Someone mentioned like occipital headaches, right? Likely a postural problem. It can be, for sure, a postural problem, especially that I see a lot of those that tie into the jaw. And also occipital problems, a lot of times you'll see those with kidney problems. So in applied kinesiology, if you have constant occipital problems, we look at kidney adrenal gland function. Those seem to be really common. And just so you guys know, the visual part of your brain, like let's say you have a hard time with your eyes are not doing so well, haven't had them checked in a while, you'll get occipital headaches sometimes too. So those are something that I personally would look at, but definitely look at the posture stuff too. And then the question around the vitamin packs, yeah, it would. Like, so you can depend on what you're looking for, right? One of the great things about the way technology is now, you can customize packs anymore if you work with the right people because the way lab work is. But yeah, they should work together, especially if you're working with a clinician, understand what you're trying to accomplish. But it does depend on what you're trying to accomplish there. I guess Diane asked that question.
Beautiful. Great. Any other questions?
So what do you call that? Your Fs, what do you call it? The six pack?
Well, it's my 6-pack of health, but they're F-bombs because they all start with F-bombs. Yeah. So
almost appropriate. Like it.
So yes, F-bombs of healthy living right there.
That's funny.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, now, I will have the replay ready. You'll get access to that. If you have any questions in the meantime, I know I'm easy to get a hold of. Dr. Brett, do you want to give any info on how they can reach
sure.
out?
If you look up Dr. Brett Brimhall on Facebook, I'm there. Instagram, same thing. That Ryan taught me everything I know, so ask him all the hard questions.
He's lying about that. That's
the only thing if you guys really love health and stuff, Ryan, I don't know if I mentioned this. So in September, I'm going to be in Vegas. We're actually first time we've done this. We're going to do a combined seminar for lay people and clinicians. And we're calling it a super seminar. So we've got Tom Brady's main trainer, Guerrero, coming. Ben Hardy's coming. If you haven't read his stuff, we've got Dr. Patrick Porter, who's over at Brain Tap. We got some really big names. And it's in conjunction with the natural fitness competition. So people that love biohacking, love health and wellness. So there'll be a portion that's taught. Some of it we'll teach kind of between. They'll be combined sometimes. Most of the time they'll be separate lay people and physicians. But to try to get these people that are thinking, that want to think this way, that are non-clinicians, to get them that content they're looking for, and it'll be fun. So
you said Ben Hardy, right?
Ben Hardy, yeah.
Well, he's got one of the books, like The Gap in the Gain. That's one of my favorite.
He's going to be there. He's speaking, and I think he's bringing a new book, from my understanding. And I think that's part of what you'll get. It's his book, Gap in the Gain, is great. Oh my gosh, I love that book.
Well, that's part of even counting the wins, is because again, this is such a great mindset, a focus type thing. And if you stay till the end, awesome, because this is huge. Because so many times you are measuring yourself where you want to be versus how far you've come. And that just leads to more self-doubt, more stress, more frustration and confusion, rather than, because a lot of times we hear, you want to just look ahead, just look at where your goal is and don't even look back. No, we want to look back. And that's part of counting your wins. You want to measure the gains that you have instead of the gap that you still have to go. Mm-hmm. And that just, when you measure the gains that the steps you've taken forward, guess what? That doesn't make you complacent. That makes you more confident, more self-esteem, more happy with yourself, which leads you to keep going.
Yeah. So he's there. It's been good. So anyway, I don't know if you knew about that, but yeah.
I did not. Yeah. Great.
So love to see you there.
Beautiful. So yes, thank you, Dr. Brett. I appreciate it. I think we're good to go. Thanks for being here, everybody. Remember, BYOG, be your own guarantee. All right. We'll talk soon. Bye.